How's it going? I am the Cosmic Turtle and thank you for joining me what will be my first top 10 video. So this is the top 10 best comics that I personally own. I'm not going to talk too much about this before getting into it, so I just decided to do this video because I've wanted to do top 10s for a while, and I thought comics would be a great way to start this since comics is a recent theme I've added to my channel. Games is going to be one I'm going to be doing soon, but it's a bit more complicated because I'm not sure if I should do like console based games or games in history, you know, there's a lot more to it. But look forward to lots more top 10s on my channel, or top 5s, you know, but there's plenty to come. But I hope you enjoy this one first, so let's kick right into it with number 10 being Punisher issue 1. So this one is number 10 because it's a comic I never thought I'd really have, because I've always liked the Punisher, but he's not a superhero that I normally go for, like the non-powered kind. But I got this, which I bought off my brother when he was getting rid of his comics a few years back, and it's just been a comic that I've prized ever since, really. So issue 9 is Iron Man issue 282, the first appearance of War Machine, which is currently one of my only Iron Man comics because I haven't gotten around to actually collecting these yet, because you know Marvel has way too many cool superheroes. But War Machine is one of my favourite heroes. There's something about him, the fact that he's like Iron Man with black and grey just makes him a bit more badass in terms of his colour scheme anyway. And yeah, this was an issue I specifically sought after myself. So getting it for a decent price, I can't remember what it was, but I know it was like a price I was happy with, was even more rewarding. So number 8 is actually a tie. It's my only tie, so I'm not cheating too much, but yeah. So my tie number 8 is Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1, or Issue 1, and Ultimate XMen Issue 1. So the reason why these are a tie is because when I was younger, when I first got into like buying comics, I used to buy Panini comics, which were just from the local news agents, I believe most people call them. And like I used to buy the Spectacular Spider-Man, but then I stopped for many years. And then when I was in my early teens, I believe, the Ultimate series came out. And I remember specifically buying this one. I remember buying this like day one. I remember reading it. I remember the scene where the Sentinel stands on the kid and like his fruit shoots out from under the foot. I've always remembered that panel, and same for Wolverine when he's walking through the sewer with the alligator in his claws. They're just such like iconic little pictures and like parts of the story to the first issue to me, and it's just in my memory. It's just something I've never forgot. As for issue 1, honestly I can't remember if I bought issue 1 day one. I'm 90% certain I did, but even if I did, I don't remember it, but I remember the ones around it. So when it came time to actually buy in comics for the first time in years, Ultimate Spider-Man was the first one I went for. So number 1 was kind of like a big issue for me. So when I finally got it, I was so happy. It's just such it's like the starting point, the crowning jewel to the starting point of my comic collection. So number 7 is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 194. Amazing Spider-Man is my favourite of the of all comics that I've read so far and what I know exists, really. So this one is one which was bought for me by a friend, and it is the first appearance of Black Cat, who is a massive Marvel character, hero and villain depending on the time. And she's just like a really cool character. If you've watched the cartoon series or if you've read the comics, she's just a really cool, important character. She plays big roles to Spider-Man, both as a villain and like as a love interest. So she's always been a character which has stuck with me just because of how interesting she is, and like what's more to say, really. So number 7 is a Game of Thrones issue 1. So over the last few months, year or so, I've become a massive Game of Thrones fan. I didn't watch the series as it came out, one episode at a time, just because I don't watch a great deal of TV. I had nothing against it. I knew it existed. I wanted to watch it. I weren't one of those people who, you know, like, oh, it's cool, so I hate it, like the whole shtick that Metallica gets. I just didn't get around to watching it until about a year, maybe 2 years ago actually. And then I discovered the comics exist, and I just had to get them. And yeah, I'm still currently in the process of buying all of the Game of Thrones comics. I need 2. But it's also a great read, a great art, since it follows the book directly. It has brilliant storytelling, and it's everything that you'd expect from a Game of Thrones comic. It's just top notch and it's fantastic. And I guess in theory it's also the first appearance of Ned Stark on all the Starks. And next we have The Walking Dead issue 53, which is the first appearance of Abraham, Eugene and Rosita. I'm a massive fan, or was a massive fan, of Abraham. I love the character. I thought he was a badass. I thought he came out with some stupid ass expressions, but I loved him for it. Big fan of Eugene. I think he's a coward, and I love how he managed to survive using his brain where everyone else uses brawn. So it's nice to see that little twist. Rosita, I'm half and half. I'm not too sure how I feel about her. Especially in the newer episodes where she went in this whole like Abraham's dead. I'm sorry if you didn't know, that's a spoiler. I loved him and all this kind of nonsense, so she wants like revenge and all this bollocks. But you know, it is what it is. Issue 4 is Spawn, issue 1. Spawn is the most recent hero that I've gotten into, like to this degree. And I got into him over a year, 2 years ago, and I've been loving buying them since. I've recently bought myself an extra like pile of maybe 10, 15 issues. I finally got around to to reading more of his comics, and it has solidified Spawn to me. So if you haven't read Spawn, I highly recommend you get into it. Ignore the price tag, that was overpriced and I was overcharged. You can get into Spawn for like quite a cheap price compared to other comics. Like if you wanted to buy Walking Dead or SpiderMan, you're looking upwards of £2,000-3,000 for decent ones. Spawn, you're less than £30-40. So it's a good comic to get into if you're slightly interested. Number 3 is Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 261, first appearance of Carnage. Carnage is one of my favourite Marvel villains of all time. He's probably my third favourite Spider-Man, or tied third with the Green Goblin. I love Carnage. I love how crazy he is, how over the top. I can imagine him easily being in like an 18 plus, I guess it's called 18 plus, an 18 rated Spider-Man movie, just because, you know, Carnage would have to cause blood. And I think they should make it happen. It should exist. Issue number 2, my bad, is X-Men, first appearance of Gambit, 266 to be precise. Gambit is my favourite X-Man, tied with Wolverine, because, you know, just Wolverine has been my favourite X-Man since before the movies. He's another hero like Spider-Man that I've grown up with. And same for Gambit. I loved him in the TV series, if you've seen it. If you haven't, you really should watch it. I believe it is also called The Uncanny X-Men. And it's just something about his swagger and his style that just really appeals to me. I don't have any honourable mentions. I might consider that in the future, but for now I just thought I'd do just the standard 1 through 10. So number 1, my favourite or best, that I consider the best comic that I own, is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 238, the first appearance of Hobgoblin. I believe technically this is the first appearance of Hobgoblin in The Amazing Spider-Man. I'm sure Hobgoblin appears for the first ever time in like Spectacular, but you know, that's not important. So yeah, Hobgoblin, I don't know where to put him on my favourite villains list, because I struggle to place him, but I just love the character. He might be my favourite Spider-Man villain. He might be second under Venom. I really don't know who to put one above the other. I just love the character. I think he's amazing. I'm probably one of the few who prefers him to the Green Goblin. Just because he has the Halloween theme with the orange, the pumpkin bombs, which obviously Green Goblin has as well. And I just love, on this cover here, he's ripping the Spider-Man suit in half. So yeah, that is it. That is my list for the top 10 comics that I own. Just before I end the video, I will quickly show you the comics one more time, just really quickly though. I won't be keeping them on for very long. So we have Punisher 1 at 10, Iron Man 282, the first appearance of War Machine, at 9. At 8 it is Ultimate X-Men Volume 1 or Issue 1 and Ultimate Spider-Man Issue 1. 7 we have Spider-Man issue 194, first appearance of Black Cat. Issue 1 of A Game of Thrones. The Walking Dead issue 54, 53, first appearance of Abraham, Eugene and Rosita. Spawn issue 1. And then the top 3, The Amazing Spider-Man, first appearance of Carnage, issue 261. X-Men 266, first appearance of Gambit. And The Amazing Spider-Man 238, first appearance of the Hobgoblin. So that is it for me. I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe to my channel to get the latest content, latest videos daily, straight away. And check me out on Pantheon. I've recently created an account, so please check it out. Please consider. And I will see you in the next video. Please take care.